Hey guys, how's it going? Blane here. Today we're going to review two of Carl Jung's aspects of personality. Those two things are attitudes and psychological functions. But first, a little history. Carl Jung was a follower of the father of modern psychology, Sigmund Freud. In fact, Jung was such a close follower to Freud that Freud often referred to him as his own son. However, Freud's emphasis of the sexual drive in making and forming personality just didn't sound right to Jung at all. Jung believed that our personality was made up of many parts that are all powered by a psychic energy, and we call it psychic energy the libido. When he tried to voice his opinion to Freud, however, Freud rejected him entirely. How the libido is used shows what kind of attitude you have. Now, when we say attitude, we're not talking about showing anger or expressing happiness. What we mean here is how the libido interacts with the world and the self. You can think of it like this. The libido is a driver, and the attitude is the kind of vehicle the driver would like to drive. There are two kind of vehicles, and they are extroversion and introversion. Extroversion is your libido engaging in the outside world as well as the people and getting all the getting all these new and cool experiences, meeting all these really neat people. You can think of you can think of extroversion as a van. You know, the driver likes driving in a van so he can fill it up with all his friends, go on trips, see new people, see new sights, etc. That is extroversion. The next attitude is introversion. This is where your libido does not really want to interact with the world outside, but rather just focus on feelings and thoughts. You can think of introversion, the vehicle for introversion, as a motorcycle. You know, you can possibly put on a backseat passenger, but you're most likely alone. And usually that means the driver prefers to go to secluded areas where he doesn't engage much with the world. So most people typically just stay in one of these two attitudes. I mean, obviously extroverts can act like introverts, and introverts can also at times act like extroverts. So yes, so now we're moving on to psychological functions. The psychological functions are specific ways of how the libido can act within the attitudes. There are two kinds of psychological functions. Each does a different thing, and each one also comes with two options. The first psychological function determines how you receive experience. The two options for this function is sensing and intuiting. Sensing is when you get your experience from your senses, what you hear, what you see, what you taste, things like that. Intuiting, on the other hand, is more of a I got a gut feeling about this kind of thing. Or, you know, what they say in Star Wars, I have a bad feeling about this. So that is the first psychological function. The next psychological function deals with rationality and how we judge experiences. The first option for that psychological function is thinking. You know, when you think about an experience, you think, is it right? Is it wrong? And you examine it under some kind of criteria. The next option is feeling. You determine how that experience made you feel. Would it make you feel happy, make you feel sad, you know, things like that. And that determines what you do with that experience. So we've talked about attitudes and also psychological functions. Now, there's a lot more to Carl Jung's theories on personality, but those two aspects are foundational to the rest of his theories. So until next time, God bless.